I, James, founded and work for HPI, but do not represent them or any of their opinions.
Welcome to Season 8, Episode 314 of the Furlo Bros Tech Podcast. Today is November the 21st, 2017. Every week, we definitively answer one question about the future of tech. To do that, we take into account many factors, including the companies involved, the people working for them, their marketing campaigns, and, of course, the technology they're developing. I'm Matthew Dean Furlo, and last week he was unlocking his phone with his face. This week, he's just stuffing his face. It's my brother, James Furlo.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, the bigger news is that we are in the middle of potty training.
Oh, baby. That's
it's an adventure. Super interesting. So the trick is you pump them full of liquids. So they're going all the time. And our daughter went through this interesting phase where every time she peed in a toilet, by the way, like she would feel bad, like she'd start crying. Because I'm not supposed to do that. I'm supposed to be wearing a diaper when I go to the bathroom. And it was super strange reaction. And then, part of what we do is we treat her like we literally give her treats. And candy, specifically marshmallows, M&Ms, chocolate kisses, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And then eventually she's like, oh, all right, this isn't so bad. And now we're in the phase of her gamifying us. And I think this is appropriate for the conversation we're going to have here. What she does is a couple drops, then pinch it back. And then goes off and plays, and then a couple drops and pinches it again. Because each time she gets a treat. And she's figured out the way to maximize the number of treats is to go just a little bit each time. And so she will get done, and then I don't know, 2 minutes later, gotta go potty. You're like, well,
oh man.
And we've got it's it's like a little tiny little chair. And so it's dry. And so you can see 2 drops. Like she does just enough. It's pretty
technically
funny.
Count. That's
yes.
Funny.
So we're hoping eventually she, moves past that phase, but who knows? So
yeah, that's
pretty funny.
That's really funny. That's really funny. That is quite the gamification of it. I mean, that's just
oh yeah, which we read online. They're like, this can happen. Your kids are smart.
So how do you wean them off, I guess, is the real question.
Well, I don't know. I think eventually it just gets I think eventually it gets old because you're off doing other stuff. Like on the third day, you do an outing type of thing, and like, let's just go out into the real world and see how it works out. And we may set it up where it's like, oh, I don't know, did you actually go? And like maybe she only gets like one little half a marshmallow thing or something. I don't know. We haven't really gotten that far yet, but it's interesting. Like, yeah, even kids at that age, they know how to. They
learn how to grind on their games. Speaking of games, James, this is so the question we're going to ask the answer this week is, how much should a game cost financially? How many dollar bills you want to send? So the reason we're bringing this up is because there's a new record was set this week for the most downvoted comment in Reddit history, and it won the record by quite an astounding margin. So
must have been some sort of hate speech, right?
Something like that. Yeah, exactly. Political. No, worse.
It was talking about some sort of political hate speech.
Yeah, it's going to be race,
with a dash of racism. Yeah. Going after disabilities. No,
something far more controversial. A Star Wars video game.
That's a pretty hot topic.
So
was it just saying that like Star Wars is better than Star Trek or something like that? Like a fanboy flame war? Like,
It was worse than that, James. So Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Battlefront 2.
Came out this week. EA is the company that's building it. They're contracted with the company Disney to make video
I've heard of them.
Right. And so it got into beta. People were pretty excited. And then there was the game finally went for sale. People bought it. And somebody posted it to our Star Wars Battlefront, whatever, on Reddit. and they asked the question, seriously, I paid $80 to have Vader locked. This is a joke. I'll be contacting EA support for a refund. I can't even play Darth Vader? Disgusting. The age of, quote, microtransactions has gone way too far. Leave it to EA to stretch the boundaries. Well, EA realized that this could go poorly for them, so they decided to respond.
So to make sure I understand this person's complaint, they bought the game for $80.
Yes.
And they wanted to play as Darth Vader, but in order to do that, they would have to pay an additional sum of money?
Yes, or unlock it through normal gameplay. So you could get Darth, you could pay for Darth Vader, or you could get it through normal gameplay. And one of the important distinctions here is Darth Vader is like a better character. Like he's
okay.
So
if you wanted, you could play the game and get Darth Vader, or you could just pay to get him get a better. Okay.
Yes. It oversimplifies it a little bit, but we'll get into the nuance of it. So this is EA's response. EA community team. The intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes. As for cost, we selected initial values based upon data from the open beta and other adjustments made to milestone rewards before launch. Among other things, we're looking at average per-player credit earn rates on a daily basis, and we'll be making constant adjustments to ensure that players have challenges that are compelling, rewarding, and, of course, attainable via gameplay. We appreciate the candid feedback and the position the community has put forth.
The passion the community.
Thank you. The passion the community has put forth around the current topics here on Reddit, our forums, and across numerous social media outlets. Our team will continue to make changes and monitor community feedback and update everybody as soon and as often as we can. So pretty reasonable. I mean, it's just mumbo jumbo, right? It's kind of meaningless. In principle, I get it. It's like when you buy a game, the final boss isn't unlocked. You have to play the game to get to the final boss. That's the whole point. Like, you play the game, but you don't just get everything. You actually have to play the game. And they're saying, and basically what they're saying is like, hey, we make it hard to get the main characters. That's the whole point. But we also you can just buy it if you want to jump right to the end. This is very similar to like what you would get in games like Farmville. That was how Farmville made so much money. Is you could do it in Farmville, but if you wanted to like refresh your crops sooner, quicker, whatever, you threw down 99 cents and you could jump to the next.
If you wanted to buy that extra special solar generator thing, it just costs a lot of money and you could buy it.
Exactly. So, so at this point, EA's comment is sitting at negative 675 karma points. Oh, sorry, not negative 675. Negative 675,000. Wow. So there was some pretty sounded disapproval of that statement, and it had become a bit of a meme where you would just copy and post that comment into every place. But instead of just that comment, they put the money bag emoji in between each word. People did calculations where they were talking about how many you're talking, 400, 500 hours to clear everything. Like, really expensive, like well over double the cost of the game, or hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of gameplay to be able to unlock all of the different features. Which they're making the argument is ridiculous. A normal game, you lock the final battle till you get there, but like if you can get there in a reasonable amount of time, that's kind of the point. So there's
so they're saying the game is one where it takes you hundreds of hours to get to the end, and their hypothesis is that EA purposely made it super, super long so that you would get tired of waiting and choose to buy to get ahead.
Right, exactly. And it goes a little bit further, too, because there's this practice that's become common in video gaming called loot crates, where you pay for, where instead of like, if there's a gun you want, instead of going and buying the gun in-game, you go and buy loot crates, and there's a certain possibility of the gun. The more expensive the loot crate, the better the style of guns. And a lot of people are arguing that that's just straight up gambling. That's the definition of gambling. and there's no warning about this. There's nothing. These are games that are marketed towards children. They're rated for children.
Well, I think the distinction is they actually do something, right? It's not just cosmetic. Oh, you get to wear a different shirt, or you can wear a mask, or change your skin, or something like that. They actually you can get better weapons and better characters.
Right. And so there's actual
value attributed to Loot Crate. Therefore, if you're paying money for the potential of getting something worth value, which would, that's like gambling, I guess.
Yeah. And so, I mean,
that's kind of weird.
Yeah. There was
people are just ticked off because they don't like the cost of their game going up. That's all. I
totally agree. EA has reversed course, at least temporarily. They've said they're turning off the ability to buy stuff. They're lowering how much you have to pay in order to achieve things. They're pretty dramatically messing with the model.
That seems really late in the game to be making changes.
Well, but people.
I wonder how that doesn't come out in open beta. That's weird.
Well, you couldn't buy in the open beta. They used the open beta to settle the prices, and then the game came with all the prices set. I mean, that's the joke of these open betas. They're not open betas. They're just market research there's a little bit of beta testing. You're testing the servers. You're making sure everything is going to work. You're not going to have a crash day one. But more or less, it's just an advertising campaign. That's what the game is done. You're just trying to get people pumped for it with this limited teaser.
Gotcha.
And then they came in and so EA stock fell like 7 or 8% on Friday after they announced.
Yeah, because they gave into the crowd, man. Yeah. You can't do that. And, you got to stand up for your morals.
Exactly. What's complicated, right? What complicates this even more is that they have like a 5-year contract with Disney, and they're in year 3. This is like and this is only this
is an important year.
The plan was to have a new game come out every year. This is only the second one, and they're deep into this contract. The first one didn't make as much money as they wanted. Like, these are supposed to be games that just print money, and they're not.
This one was until people found out about it.
Yeah, exactly. and so there's this it's becoming this mess. Disney is just keeping their mouth just as lip tight as they can. They're like, this is your problem, EA.
I think I read one thing, and one of the Disney exec guys who's in charge of the Star Wars property was like, look, fans come first. That's our number one priority. Make the fans happy. We're not in it necessarily to make gobs of money. I mean, you are, but it also just so happens that they've got a movie franchise that they've already made more money than they've sunk into it. So they're happy.
Right. Exactly. It's to them, it's, they make money all over the place. To lose money, it's one of the reasons why they do these giant reshoots for Rogue One, even though it was super expensive, because they're like, a good movie is worth more to the total franchise than making money by shipping a bad movie and not reshooting it. So that's why they're willing.
That's the right posture.
Now, how Warner Bros. Paid so much for the reshoots of Justice League and still ended up with a bad movie is sort of confusing.
I haven't seen it yet.
We'll talk about that later. I haven't seen it yet either, because everybody's like, I've talked with my girlfriend, and she's like, I'd watch it on DVD. I was like, I don't know where
really?
Yeah. Huh. I know.
I totally want to see it.
I know. Oh. I hear you. So, anyway,
can't find a babysitter. That's my problem.
Yeah.
I just tell myself they're all off watching the movie, but that's not true at all. So interesting. So, all right. So, I'll tell you what. Let's take a quick break here, and then let's get a little bit deeper into this about what's going on and talk about how much a game should actually cost.
So no matter where you are in the world, whether you're in the continental United States, you're overseas, you're wherever, this episode is being brought to you by fiber optics. Fiber optics are pretty cool. They're just they're like cables, but made with glass, and light waves go through them. So if you're in the market for fiber optics, go and buy some. It supports the show by them existing. And
I wonder how much a fiber optic costs.
Can be very, very cheap. Really high
Really?
quality ones are, oh yeah, like you can buy like tons of like, you can buy, so one of the cool things you can do is you can have a single light source with a bundle of fiber optics, and then you can
Uh-huh.
like poke holes into your roof with these tiny fiber optics, and for cheap, you can buy
Okay.
all this stuff. And then you bring them all together and you point the other ends at this light source, then it looks like stars in your sky. I would recommend using like,
Doesn't seem super practical, but okay. All right.
oh yeah, they're yeah, but fiber optics they're neat, man. They're real neat. They can,
Okay.
and light beams usually just go forward. In a fiber optic, they go wherever the fiber optic is
Is
going.
that can you buy them on Amazon? Is that like a
Yeah.
thing?
Oh,
Cool.
totally. I
I
mean,
feel like yeah, that is a
now
thing.
that we've asked the question, I feel like we gotta, let's say, fiber optic.
I was gonna go with leave us a comment if you can
Oh,
buy it on Amazon. But go ahead. Answer it
yeah,
for us.
yeah. For like $8.50, you can get
Seriously.
a 328 foot or 100
What?
meter roll. Yeah.
100 meters for $8?
Yep.
That's super reasonable. Yeah, this show is definitely brought by that right there.
Yeah. So thank you, fiber optics. Back to it. Yeah.
So this game it's the base cost, if you will, is $80.
Well, you can get it as cheap as 60, but for like if you pre-order it with special stuff, the Game of the Year edition, whatever, you can get, or you can.
Okay, so for normal people like myself, it's $60.
Yep.
That's a reasonable price for a reasonable game, from what I understand.
Yeah.
And the issue is, man, I don't know. I get the idea that if you want to, okay, here's my bias, okay, which was stated at the onset of this podcast. I work for a company where you only pay us money if you use the product, period. Right? We lose money on our printers and we make it back on the cartridges. Well-known fact, no secrets there. So therefore, you're only really paying us. We only make money if you use our product. We have an incentive to sell to people who print, not just to sell a bunch of printers out there in the world. And it's kind of a similar model in the sense where they're like, yeah, we make some money. We break even, but it's only people play the game if they like our loot boxes, crates, whatever they're called. Then that's when we actually make our money. The problem, it sounds like, is they may or may not have gotten a little greedy.
So, okay, so this is where it gets a little bit complicated for me. So let's start here. The original Nintendo 64 was launched in
1964? Okay.
1996. Do you remember how much those games, the original cartridges, cost for a system?
I want to say like $50.
It was $50.
Oh, man. Nice.
And I remember that because you bought the system and I bought the first two games.
Brilliant move on my part.
Awful. He took it with him to college and he was like, you can keep the games, but you can't keep the system.
Dude, I'm the best negotiator ever.
So for his graduation gift, I bought myself a GameCube. And then for his graduation gift, I got him a couple of GameCube games and said, you can keep them, which he almost did.
Which I actually think I might have them.
Oh, nice. So anyways, my point was, so in 1996, you fast forward 20 years, those games would have been running the cost of $77.50, almost $80.
Talking inflation adjusted, that kind of thing?
Right. And
okay, all right.
The base games are the price.
Even though usually with technology, you expect prices to go down, fine. We'll assume that there's similar value.
But this is the trick, is the games are far more sophisticated. A game like today, a game like Battlefront II it's got a full single player mode with all sorts of cinematics. Those are acted by real people. They hire people
wow.
that they do video capture. They've got all sorts of artists.
Star Fox didn't have that.
Yeah, exactly. The voice acting was wow.
It's a trap.
Yeah, the mouth just moves. But there's these really, really detailed cinematics, really powerful graphics engines, tons of technology, tons of stuff that goes into it. You've got servers that have to keep running in order to do it. It's a huge team that gets involved in this. And one of the important things to remember, too, is that they build all sorts of games, and a lot of their games are just okay, or they're complete flops. Like, we only hear about the blockbusters and how much the blockbusters makes. And just like the movie industry, they make tons of money on the blockbusters, and they make tons of money in general. but they lose money all the time. For every Thor Ragnarok that Disney makes, they've got
they're doing their own form of gambling. Interesting.
Yeah, well, but with the it's this tricky idea of like there's this thing of you make games, you have to keep a lot of people employed all the time, which kind of means just paying EA had
That's dumb. Just make good games all the time.
Okay.
Do the Nintendo strategy.
Well, and honestly, but the thing is that is Nintendo strategy. And what happened with the Wii U? I mean,
yeah, well, all right.
And they go through.
You get too many eggs and too many or not enough baskets. I understand.
Exactly. And EA, so they had a game called Mass Effect Andromeda. It was the fourth in the Mass Effect series. It was a disaster. It cost them a ton of money. They're basically shutting down the servers already at this point. It's been a huge disaster. They do that every once in a while where they sink a ton of money and they lose that money. They've got to make it back somewhere.
SimCity.
Excuse me. Right? And they've got this issue where, I mean, EA does some stuff that's just ridiculous. And speaking in defense of EA is liable to get my head cut off. I realize. But
clearly.
But at the same time,
makes you wonder how a company that's so hated could be so successful.
Exactly. One of the
analogies out there,
right? One of the dilemmas that I have with all this is the ultimate problem of charging $60 for a game is too little for a game. You can't, and there are
but then you got like the Nintendo issue, right? Where they came out with the Mario on the iPhone, and the Mario. Oh my gosh, I was that guy. They came out with their iPhone game, and they charged $10.
Yeah,
and it was just like, and you get everything, and people flipped out over that. They're what? $10 for a full game without any other stuff?
Well, I know, and it's a really tough.
It's easy. Gamers want three things. They want it free, they want it perfect, and they want it now. That's easy. All you got to do is that.
They're claiming that they're willing to pay the full price. And
no, they're not.
Exactly. My argument is that they're not. I think that for these companies to really make as much money as they need to justify the whole thing, because ultimately they're for-profit businesses. They have to be making a profit. They have shareholders that they have to answer to. They've got something they've got to do in this respect. And yeah, it's tough to watch people just like lose their mind over this, because you're like, hey, what do you think this is? And people just aren't willing to pay for it. And it's tough because I think in this area, it seems like EA really they knew what they had. They had a Star Wars game. And when you've got a Star Wars game, you can go further in making more money. I've never, it's like you can get on iTunes, for example.
They acted like a monopoly is what they did.
Exactly. And on iTunes, you can download all six of the original trilogy and the
done that
trilogy, right? It's like $100 for all six. It's the only 6-movie set that costs $100. It never ever goes on sale. I bought all 8 Harry Potters for like $40 because they regularly go on sale.
I buy it too.
And whereas
right now the Rocky series is coming in at $50, and man, it's tempting. Because I used to watch the Rocky series this week.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Leading up to Thanksgiving, because we'd have like a playoff game and there'd be no school, and we'd just be hanging out waiting because we couldn't travel anywhere. And Rocky would be on like TLC or whatever it was. Oh, man. I get to game day, I would be ready to punch somebody.
It's awesome. But that's hilarious. But my point is that like Star Wars, everybody who's involved in Star Wars knows that it's a good enough product on it. They've taken care of the product.
Well, yeah, dude. Well, Lego used to do the same thing with their Legos, right? They're like, dude, we're making the Millennium Falcon, so we're going to charge $700,000 for this Lego.
Did you know that they had a re-release of that model? And it is stupid expensive again.
See?
To get the original release, it was like $5,000 to get it on eBay right now.
Oh my god!
The new one though costs like it's straight up $700 for that.
I have a Millennium Falcon in one of the cubes at work next to me.
Really? Oh,
yeah, dude. The guy bought it. He said it was his first Lego set he ever put together where he didn't finish it in a single setting. You know, the Saturn V rocket is on sale on Lego right now at a reasonable price. Oh my gosh, it's so tempting.
Of how much?
So tempting. I don't remember. It was like half off or 40% off or something like that.
Because
so tempting. So tempting. I got you sidetracked. Okay. So Well, how much would you pay for a good game?
So honestly, $30 is kind of like where I get
Whoa.
really. I know, well, that's the problem. Is that like for me? So I paid $60. I did pay $60 for the latest Destiny 2, and I've not played it enough to really justify it. Somebody's got me working on a side project that takes all my free time.
You're welcome.
And it's $120, which is like $40 on sale, and it's out of stock as a result. That's a bummer. But I can still order it.
You should do it.
I know.
Early Christmas, late birthday.
I've got one of the space shuttle ones, and I still have it on my desk. It's like the most adult Lego I can have.
My wife was like, "What would you do with it?" I'm like, "I would build it.
Yeah, put it somewhere."
And it's like, and then what? I'd look at it.
Yeah.
And she's like, "Yeah, but you got all these other Legos." I'm like, "Yeah," which I can see right now, and I regularly look at them and go, "Yeah, awesome."
Nice. Yeah.
Like it totally is working. What's the problem?
Yeah, it's what it's supposed to be. So yeah, what were we talking about?
You were willing to pay $30, but it's because of your recent experience of overpaying for a game that you didn't play enough.
I'll pay $60 on it. Like if occasionally I'll pay $60 for a new game.
Like what is that? Once a year, 3 times a year? Like what's occasionally?
2-3 times a year.
Okay, all right.
So I'm probably
once a quarter.
I'm gonna rebuy Skyrim. I've only bought it once, thankfully, but I'm gonna buy it again, full price, $60, because it's the VR version. And everything I've read,
that sounds awesome.
It's great. This is like the best example of a VR game that's out there. It's a full featured game in VR, and it's a game you already love because it's Skyrim. But
that sounds cool.
I know, right? So that's where but I
does Skyrim have microtransactions and stuff?
No.
Interesting.
Once you pay, you get everything. You gotta fight for it. You gotta play.
Man, I like that. I like that model. I really do.
I do too. And that's the one struggle that I have with all this is like I tend to like that. I don't do microtransactions. I don't do them well. I don't like them. And
I don't know. I could see like if you do them right, they could be cool. You know, it's like, yeah, pay your $60 for a game, or heck, right? Charge me $75 and be like, yeah, welcome to the new world.
Well,
and I think that, and then you can have, and and it sounds like there's 2 separate issues. There's microtransactions, and then there's loot boxes, which are a version of microtransactions.
Well, so there's I would say there's 3 categories of microtransactions. There's loot boxes, which I think is
randomish.
Yeah, I would argue it's gambling. It is, and
okay, fair enough.
By most legal,
but as J.J. Abrams, who has made a Star Wars movie, would tell us, no, people love the mystery box.
Oh, my point is,
you cannot stand it. You have to know what's in the box.
That's the argument against them. Is that gambling
depends on where you're sitting. You know, if I'm in the finance office, I like that idea.
Exactly. But that's the argument that's the moral arguments that most.
And some would argue you derive joy out of that process.
Yeah, but why is gambling? Why is online gambling illegal, but yet loot boxes aren't?
Let's talk about that. Maybe it shouldn't be.
Maybe. All right. So that's one type of microtransaction. The next type of microtransaction is pay to win, which is you get a better character, a better gun, you get more health, you get whatever.
Yeah.
You can pay to be better than the people you're competing with.
Would that be like the equivalent of like with I totally blanked out now. Farmville, where like you just paying to get money so you can go buy stuff.
Exactly.
Is that a similar thing? You don't have to wait anymore, or just speed it up.
Yeah, you're able to go faster than everybody else, not based on skill, but by
that's my most known example.
It's most known for most people. So, and then the last one are cosmetic microtransactions.
Yeah,
which the classic one people throw around is hats. There are games where you could buy hats, different hats, things. It doesn't have any effect on gameplay. It just is. It's entirely cosmetic. There are games. One of the most valuable game company on earth, Riot Gaming. They're the guys who built League of Legends, which is a massive game for competitive game, online gaming. People play all the time. They make tons of money. They don't pay. You can download the game for free. You can play the game for free. It's all free. Everything's free. The only thing that you can pay for are cosmetic changes to your characters through microtransactions. And they are one of the most valuable game companies on earth. That's it. They got one game, they make money one way, and people have no problem with it. Gamers have no problem with it.
I don't have a problem with that either.
And the thing
I think
is,
that's brilliant. Keeps the lights on. People who want it can have it, not
yeah,
required to enjoy it unless someone make the argument that having a fancy hat does add to the enjoyment, which clearly a lot of people make that argument.
yeah,
I'm fine with that. Look, I am okay with companies making money to pay developers and invest in better games.
yeah.
I have zero problems with that.
I do have something of a problem. The only one that honestly in the pay to win games, I emotionally don't have any problem with the game company doing that. I'm just not going to play the game. I don't play the game. I'll play your little stupid app until I get to the point where it becomes obvious that I can't win this without.
Well, see, and I think that's where companies like they make a mistake where somewhere in there the ratio gets off.
Yeah.
Where it's like, and I know what you're talking about. Where you're playing a game and it's like, and usually for me it's the game where like you got to check in so many times or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh my gosh, I can't advance to the next level for like a week. Right. I was like, no, that is too long. And it used to be, and actually SimCity, I just happened to SimCity, and that's why I stopped playing it, because I could build my city, I could do all sorts of stuff. It was super awesome. And then I reached this threshold where it was like, to take my city to the next level, to build more stuff and whatever, I would check in for 3 days and not be able to make any be able to make any progress, which by the way, made by EA. And so it was super frustrating. And yeah, and I ultimately gave up, and it was because the ratio was off, which at the beginning it was fine. And maybe they've done the math where like by that point I'm invested in it.
Well, and the problem is that they look at you as not their best customer. They don't want you. They want what they call whales. They want people who will pay they want people who will spend $180 to unlock all the things on the $60 game they just bought, because they think they make those are better customers to them. It's that's what they'd prefer. They think they make more money over the lifetime of the game with those sorts of customers. So I
hate to be this way, but like that's not how you create loyal fans. That's not how. That's dumb. I mean, let's talk about like I'm I'm obviously not in a place right now in my life. I can't even watch movies, so clearly I'm not playing video games either. But like I'm still a Nintendo fanboy, despite what happened with the Wii U. And it was like the Switch came out and I'm like, oh, dude, I want a Switch. And that was because Nintendo respected me and they made games for me. They didn't necessarily care about making money, but as a result, they made money. And you get the sense that the League of Legends folks have that same mentality. We're like, dude, we just want more the merrier into the game, the better. Awesome. We've got this side mechanic to make money. Heck, Google works that way, right? Like, yeah, we're just going to make the best search engine possible, totally free to use. Don't worry about it. And yeah, we're gonna create ads that you don't have to click on, and but a certain percentage of people will, and that's totally fine. And it's like, just like it's not necessarily about maximizing short-term revenue; it's about maximizing long-term revenue. And maybe that's the other problem with these things is they've looked at cycles where like it sounds like League of Legends has been around for a while and it continues to go on, just like I think Google's been around for a while, continues to go on. But it's like with Battlefront 2, they're probably looking at like, honestly, they've got like 9 months to make all the money they can, and then it's moving on to the next thing.
Yep.
And so it is more like a movie as opposed to a service. And it's like because of that, the mechanics for them and how they make money changes.
And because it's an online game, especially, they have to upkeep those servers. They can't just send the game and then say bye-bye. They have to keep maintaining it for potentially.
I don't understand. Why don't they do like a League of Legends or a WoW where it's like it's all part of the same world, and each new update it's on top of the existing server world. We're all playing in the same universe. Now we're just opening up different lands or planets or something.
I think the easy answer is that's actually hard to do.
Well, okay, but I think you'd make more money.
I know. I hear you.
You actually develop loyal fans. It kills me.
It's frustrating. Right. I think that's the problem with that. I think that's the reason why EA gets so much hate, because
because they created this model before servers existed.
Well, and there's a space in the market for a company who just cares about short-term profits and not fans. There's a place in the market for them. They'll take all the heat, they'll take all the hate, and they're okay with it. They buy. That's true. They buy small studios that struggle because they only create games once in a while. They buy them. They give them the financial confidence to be able to continue to do what they do. the game has a lot of great IP. They squeeze all the value out of that IP that they can, and then they close the studio and they move on to the next. That's what EA does, and that's why Maxis. Maxis was that exact studio, the creators of SimCity.
Yeah.
They created games. Occasionally, they produced one. You're right. There's this long tail, but the big money goes away. You've got to produce the next game, get bought by EA, you get the financial confidence of a giant company like that, and then EA just squeezed onto that intellectual property, squeezed as much money as they could out of it, and now Max is gone and SimCity is over. They did the same thing to My Treasure to Westwood Studios with the.
Yeah, they did.
They've,
Yeah, dude, Command & Conquer. That one was.
That was EA.
All right, so we should hate EA. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm getting out of this. Yeah. Okay, and it sounds like we're not alone. There's a good Reddit community of people who don't like them either, because the intent is to provide players with a sense of pride and accomplishment for unlocking different heroes via money. That statement's so dumb.
I know.
All right. Cool. All right. Well, good little rant fest there. That was fun. EA, ridiculous. So, what's our question for the listeners? Did you go out and buy Battlefront 2? Are you going to?
Or if you're a video gamer, how much would you be? Or not if you're a video gamer, how much would you be willing to pay for a video game? $100, $200,
15
bucks, 99 cents. Free.
99 cents. I bought the Mario game. And
Nice.
We're talking about somebody who doesn't play. I paid $10 for that.
Sure.
I tried to encourage them to make more games. Clearly, I was in the minority for that one. Awesome. Cool. Good question. So yeah, leave us a comment. Let us know. How much would you pay for a game? And thanks for joining us. We really do appreciate it. You can check out all the links. We're going to have like 4 of them. Wow, that really sold it. But they're the best 4 links that really sum this whole thing up on furlobros.com/314. That's 314. Don't forget, you can subscribe to us on iTunes and Google Play. And we want to say thank you to, Reddit for giving people an opportunity to downvote EA. Also want to say thanks to Sam Byford, Taya Kim, and Gene Park. And someone from Forbes, so I don't know, because they blocked my site when I tried to open it on my computer. So that's great. Appreciate that, guys. This podcast is sponsored by listeners like you and fiber optics. It shines a light on opportunity and the internet. Shining a light on the internet. How about that?
Got him.
Yeah. With that, I am James Furlo, and my brother is Matthew Furlo, and we will talk next time.